Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is brought to you in part by our Patreon page at patreon.com/Gear Network. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Gear Network, GERE Network. While you don't have to do this, if you would like to support us, that is a very easy way to do it. For as little as $2 a month, you can get this podcast as well as all others completely commercial free, as well as exclusive content like Patreon-only podcasts, videocasts, and blogs that are not regularly available on GearNetwork.com or any RSS feed. Your support helps us continue to keep up with upgrades to software, purchase professional equipment, and assist us with production costs. Again, patreon.com/Gear Network. Do it right now for as little as $2 a month.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
From wherever we decide studios, broadcasted live on iTunes, Spreaker, and worldwide, this is the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast with your host, the producer, Pat G. The G stands for Gangsta. And now kick back and get ready for the eargasms.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the TTRP, Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast. I am your amazing host, Pat G. The G stands for Gangsta, along with the furious one, Dan Fury, as we bring you all the news and notes of the professional wrestling world, brought to you by Gear Network and, of course, GearNetwork.com. Dan, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great tonight. Any day above ground is a good day. I'm leading a team in a challenge, which I'll talk to you about offline. At my gym, we're doing, friggin' Zoom workouts, and still the professional wrestling world is giving us nuggets of stuff to talk about, and God, it feels good to be on a podcast tonight.
Well, speaking of the professional wrestling world giving us nuggets of things to speak about, is the WWE Monday Night Raw has seen its second lowest rating in all of its history from this past week.
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors to that. First off, the fact that this is the lowest. What was the last lowest rating? I'm assuming it was sometime pre-Monday Night War.
Yeah, pre-Monday Night War, I believe. I know I gotta find the exact article that I saw it on, but yeah, they said it was like the second low. This was the second lowest rating in all of the show's history.
To point out that during an epidemic that is affecting the entire world, that someone is actually giving a rat's ass about the exact rating. I find it to be funny because the show has been on for almost 30 years now.
Okay, here it is. The information was via Show Buzz Daily reports that this past week edition of Monday Night Raw drew 1.817 million viewers, down from last week's 1.842 million viewers, and a new all-time low in viewership for a non-holiday episode in Raw history, and the second lowest viewership in the history of the show, including holiday episodes.
Well, look, the show has been on for it's 27 years. We're heading to 30 years of one show being consistent on television. And even preempted for the Westminster Dog Show, right? They still would air an episode of Raw. Like, guys, it happens. Okay, you have to take this into consideration. All of the stuff that's going on right now in the world, okay, along with so many streaming options that WWE is competing against and stuff that networks are putting out there, of course Monday Night Raw is going to have a low rating during this time. I mean, this isn't like typical Monday nights where you had a city that you were in, the fans, which we talked about last week and how important they are in the entire show. And of course, because you were able to do that, there was always an X factor for the crowd. I mean, I don't see this as being a big deal, or as big a deal as they're making it sound by the title of the article. And to me, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah,
in that.
They went into further detail, saying the episode of Raw dropped below the December 23rd, 2019 episode, which had drew 1.835 million viewers. The only episode of Raw that draws less viewers than last night's episode was December 24th, 2018, which drew 1.775 million. Hour one of the show drew 1.945 million viewers and a 0.56 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic. Good for number 2 on cable for the night. Hour 2 drew 1.888 million viewers and a 0.53 rating. Good for number 3 on the cable for the night. And Hour 3 drew 1.619 million viewers for a 0.43. Good for number 7 on cable for the night. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta on VH1 finished number 1 in the key 18 to 49 demographic with a 0.62, while the 5 on Fox News finished number 1 in total viewership with 4.451 million viewers. So, like you said, you bring up the pandemic and everything. The fact that a show on Fox News drew like almost 4.5 million people, obviously people are paying attention to this.
Yeah, those are the fact that they got beat by a Fox show is kind of bad. That's not taking a jab at people who watch Fox News. Let's see what happens when Florida opens up for crowds to be at the shows. Even if they hold shows at the Performance Center for a while and just had like a small NXT style crowd in attendance, I think you'll see the ratings start going up with that, because then, as weird as it sounds, I almost think that's an attraction. Like, hey, we have a crowd. Like, the crowds are back. Let's see how crazy this is going to be. I think that will draw fans back, at least for a good rating spike.
Yeah, that's a good segue into bringing that up, is because Florida is looking to open up the state and allow a 25% crowd capacity for things. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Uh-huh. Because that right there, that can't really, it doesn't affect WWE right away, because they've pretty much taped all their content, but it is going to help AEW, who technically starting next week goes back to live shows.
I mean, the cool part about that is that gives it a draw over NXT for the night. It gives us a chance to see, okay, will crowds show back up? That's something that, a lot of performers are talking about. A lot of live performers, professional wrestlers included, that, comedians and bands, acts that have to perform and live off of the crowd. What's it going to be like to see a crowd at an event again? Yeah. Like, for me, that's a draw. Will they still be as fevered? Or, I'm assuming that after being in quarantine, you let people out to go to a wrestling event. It's going to end up being crazier than you imagine, because you have, first off, crazy wrestling fans, and then crazy wrestling fans that have been cooped up in their house, and this is their first outlet. But how are crowds going to be after this?
Yeah.
Could this be the first time we see what other sporting events may have to face?
Well, the breakdown of the article is the state of Florida has revealed a plan from the Reopen Florida Task Force, which declares that sporting venues may be allowed to have up to a 25% capacity on May 4th. This decision hasn't been made yet, as Governor Ron DeSantis will make the final call. I truly believe he'll allow it. He made the WWE essential. it's part of the first phase of the plan, which will also see casinos opening as well. The guideline reads, large spectator sporting events should use strict social distancing guidelines and limit occupancy of venues to 25% of building capacity. This means if wrestling promotions choose to do so, they can have fans at their events as early as Monday. This week's WWE TV shows were taped, but AEW Dynamite will be live on Wednesday. That doesn't mean AEW will choose to allow fans into the building, but if DeSantis agrees to opening up sporting venues, it does mean they will be allowed to do so if they wish. So, yeah, like, it doesn't do anything for the WWE right now as far as Monday because the show's already been taped. But imagine them having an NXT style type Monday Night Raw event because we know how crazy the NXT crowds are when NXT is live.
First off, you know what that just reminded me of? The very first episode of Monday Night Raw where they were in the Manhattan Center and that place was small as hell. Having been in it, the way that Raw setup was and the way that they reenacted it for the Raw 25 episode, where they did the split between the Barclay and the Manhattan Center, you got a little glimpse of, guys, this is where this started, and then it moved to be so huge that it's at the Barclay Center. You know, so here's a throwback. There weren't a lot of people in that crowd, and that crowd was crazy. Now, imagine, like you said, you had NXT. If Monday Night Raw has NXT fans that are doing all the vocalization, they're going to eat certain talent alive. Then again, you're going to have them pop for the Street Profits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is the thing, is if you do a Monday Night Raw or a Friday Night SmackDown say you do it at Full Sail University, okay? You have that NXT style crowd. And you're going to have to be careful what talent you put on, because as we've seen with the talent and not having the crowd, some talent has been able to strive and their charisma has been able to overcome it, as we talked about last week. But then there's been talents that you obviously see are struggling.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, not to call it into question, but there's a few of them, like Asuka. My God, can we just look at how GIF worthy she is and how hilarious it is that she's taking full advantage of this no crowd to get herself over?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, dude, she is getting herself over huge with this. And I think once a live crowd gets that, because we've already been doing this, having conversations and sharing things on Facebook, the antics have gotten crazier.
Not to mention, video I just saw yesterday or earlier this morning, Asuka basically imitating the Triple H water entrance.
Oh my, dude, she's gold. She's golden. You put her in front of a live NXT style crowd at Full Sail for Monday Night Raw, dude, the Empress will get the standing ovation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how over she got. But then again, there's the flip side to it where, I don't think Nia Jax's matches are getting the sound that you want, the quality that you want, without the crowd interacting with her, because she's very much she draws on the crowd.
Oh, she very much does so. She does a lot. And I can even say the same thing about Becky Lynch. As good as Becky Lynch is and has become, Becky Lynch draws on the crowd a lot. And honestly, watching Becky Lynch versus the Charlotte Mia Yim match from NXT, like, that's what makes Charlotte so different from everybody else. Charlotte doesn't need the crowd. She emphasizes the crowd when it's there, but Charlotte doesn't need the crowd.
Yeah, and she's so much her father's daughter.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, she has a way. It would be old school NWA Mid-South, Mid-Atlantic. If you put her in front of 15 people in a crowd, she'd still get them going. Like, she's so much her father's daughter in that aspect that she's larger than life in a different way. Like, she looks at the camera, and even if it's just a cold stare or she's doing the signature woo, she's going into that camera. She's getting your attention. And it's masterful that she's doing it with no crowd, and she's just breaking the fourth wall, essentially, using the camera. And, Drew McIntyre is having the time of his life on screen. You can tell that he greatly appreciates this title run. I mean, some of the stuff that he has done, where there was the comparison between the way he was posing on the ramp to the Shawn Michaels Playgirl photo shoot in 96.
Yeah.
It was hilarious shit.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of them things of the WWE is seeing what talent is flourishing and what talent's not flourishing. I think that's a prime reason why you've had the Street Profits and Garza and Theory and Andrade and Zelina on a lot of Monday Night Raws because they've been able to thrive without the crowd.
And the cool part about them is it's talent that is getting a chance that maybe was kind of bubbling at the surface. Like, obviously, Andrade has the United States championship. They already gave him a prominent spot. But he's proving that he can be a consistent hand in order to tell stories during this time. And he's actually, to me, a real throwback to that WCW Cruiserweight division that we have sorely wanted to see in WWE, but has never been able to. Even with the Cruiserweight Challenge, it was never able to break over to be big for WWE. He's proving that with these style matches that he's doing every Monday night.
Oh, absolutely. And then on top of it, you look at the SmackDown side of things, and you look at the character development of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Mm-hmm. Because now with the situation that they don't have that live crowd where it's like, okay, Bayley and Sasha have to be the main focal point. We have to find things to do and build on, and now you have that fire and desire split, and Sonya Deville truthfully turning into Sonya Deville. I personally think with the whole turn of her is making her more comfortable in her own skin.
Yeah. And you can see it because the Otis and Mandy Rose story that we have been treated to since December is still playing out in this new environment. And the story continues to be captivating. And I will dare say, okay, that story right there was some of the best storytelling that you've seen in the history of SmackDown. Because it was the underdog finally getting the girl on the grand stage. And who knows if this match would have even happened if it wasn't for this epidemic. So they were able to continue on with the Dolph and Otis story into WrestleMania. And then from there, they're continuing it by letting two talents that were getting there get there quicker, and it's showing their chops.
Oh, absolutely, because now instead of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville just toiling in the women's tag team division that has lost a immense amount of focus over the last year, and now it's allowing them to be more themselves, whereas falling into characters where Mandy Rose is out there to prove she's more than just the blonde hair and the body and the looks, against Sonya Deville, who's trying to prove she's one of them girls that can be a pinup model.
Yeah.
Even though she's a badass fighter.
And the cool part about that is you were able to see them, obviously the focus of them when they came in was as a team, a tandem. But you're able to see something that I thought I didn't think we would see, where it's, babyface Mandy. And it's awkward in that this is how we've seen her since, Tough Enough is as that kind of person, but then to see her become sympathetic in her character,
yes,
which is weird because she's not a character that you would think of finding sympathy in or rooting for, but the entire time we're rooting for her. And if you think of her roots, she was always destined to be a great heel.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the way that Corey Graves would react when she'd come out.
Yes. Give credit where credit is due. He acted like she was the second coming and that she was going to save the women's revolution. Yeah. He made us believe it by his reaction.
And he made people hate her because of his reaction.
Yeah, it was guilt by association because, that he does a very good job of getting those heels over.
And the thing with Corey Graves is, as much flack as Corey Graves takes from people not being a good announcer, which he has his issues, not gonna lie. Corey Graves has evolved into that JBL type role where he finds a way to make you hate the heels, but in that same sense of him making you hate the heels, you're sympathizing with the baby faces.
Yeah, and it's funny that you bring up JBL because honestly, I think he got overlooked for how good he was on commentary.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that JBL had immense shoes to fill once Taz was no longer that role. Because for as long as a lot of us can remember as fans, there was always JR and the King and Michael Cole and Taz.
Yep.
And while Jerry's over-the-top reaction to certain things would put people over, you kind of have seen, you love Jerry Lawler so much that Jerry Lawler gives the stuff cred for the baby faces, but also just how much he plays that Heenan line, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Where Taz was the human suplex machine. He had all the years behind him of in-ring credibility that once he transitioned over, if he puts something over like Thugonomics John Cena, Taz is as responsible for getting Thugonomics John Cena over as perhaps Paul Heyman's creative direction for the character.
Yep.
And if anything, you look at the way he reacted to Thugonomics John Cena, that was masterful.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the interesting thing is now with as much flack as we spoke like weeks back when the Blade and the Butcher when Butcher and the Blade showed up on AEW and Jim Ross didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
This is the thing is now with this situation with not having a crowd, it fall as much as responsibility as the talent inside the ring has to get themselves over to the people watching at home. It's the commentators' jobs to help them even more than before.
Yeah, and you can see where with this commentating teams how they're broken up. Which ones are the strong ones, and which ones have potential of being great, and how many are kind of suffering during this time.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're getting put on the spot. And, I look at it, and it's not just the jobs of the guys to put them and women to put themselves over. The commentating team has so much to do with that. To me, just as important and just as weird is that they're still keeping up with backstage, which is helping to continue it for guys.
Yep.
You know, they're helping to carry those storylines over and get those talent that are on screen right now over even more. Because that is a weekly show where they specifically talk about what's going on Raw. And if guys like, you know, Andrade and Asuka, if they're getting talked about on that, that's 3 programs a week that their names are coming out of people's mouths.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the interesting thing, because all you got to do is look at AEW and Chris Jericho and Tony Schiavone.
Oh God, that was masterful. That proved that he was the GOAT. He was phenomenal on commentary.
Oh, absolutely. Now, what's interesting is now with WWE, and of course you have their various commentating teams and everything. Imagine, and we brought up Taz and JBL and everything. Imagine if CM Punk was to commentate on Raw or SmackDown.
See, the good part, I can't even say good. It would be SmackDown, because that's, I believe, Heyman's show. No, Raw is Heyman's show.
Raw is Heyman's show.
Raw is Heyman's show. They just had Samoa Joe show back up, which is awesome to see Joe on commentary, because I think Joe does phenomenally on commentary.
Oh, he absolutely does.
I will dare compare him to Taz in that his legitimacy comes from the fact that he'll choke you out. You know what I mean? Like, he'll hooky to clutch you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Samoa Joe falls in that same line as Taz. Is Samoa Joe has all this years of knowledge and back in the ring and everything of being a badass. Him putting someone over on commentary makes them even bigger than they already were.
Exactly. And the cool part about this, and to talk about the AEW side of things, you look at the situation when it started, right? Was Rochester, New York.
Yep.
And you were going to have the Exalted One be revealed as Brody Lee. Brody has gotten over because the spotlight is on him and his vignettes. You are now being introduced to this character without there being any... It's kind of a clean slate. Like, you know him, but here's the him that we're introducing you to, and it's spotlighted perfectly. And you're not getting lost in the sauce of the live television production. You know what I mean? Like, you're able to make these cool vignettes, and we're able to be introduced to Brody, so by the time he gets to a live crowd, it's already programmed to hate this guy.
Oh, absolutely. And then just Brody being Brody makes you hate him even more.
Yeah. And they've put him in a great spot with having his matches on and working with Marco Stuntz and
working with talents that, okay, on paper have no chance, but in the ring, it's like he's allowing people to have moments, but he's also just crushing them because he's the Exalted One, Brody Lee.
Yeah, and, of course you mentioned Jericho, and the Jericho feud with Matt has spawned even bigger, social media stuff because, I cannot believe that they did a Brady Bunch parody using Chris Jericho.
Yep.
And the Inner Circle, and it was amazing. It was so hilarious that they are doing this because this legitimately makes no sense in any regular world, but because of this bizarro world of television programming, that is some of the most hilarious content I've seen, and it is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting is the fact that we spoke about Florida and Florida reopening and trying to do the 25% crowd thing and everything. the governor of Oklahoma, and this was from the one which WON. The Oklahoma government, Kevin Stitt, is looking to bring the industries of pro wrestling, boxing, and MMA into the state in order to generate revenue. While the idea that there will be less political fallout by bringing in combat sports and wrestling, which will have less media focus than traditional sports or other live entertainment. Additionally, there are no pro wrestling, MMA, or boxing unions, so there will be less outside pressure over safety concerns. Obviously, there's a lot of potential risks here. Stitt said early in the week per a TV station in Oklahoma, KUTL, that the state continues to show we can safely proceed with phase 1 of our plan to safely and measurably reopen on May 1st. So, and it being Oklahoma, of course, you've lost the NBA in the Oklahoma City Thunder. You've lost college sports and everything. It's not a bad idea for him to try to bring something in, especially if Oklahoma doesn't have like unions.
And the cool part about that is you are creating. Let's talk about sports for a second, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No NBA, although they are being invited to at least train now at their team's facilities.
Yes.
I believe that's the time. Okay. All right. Major League Baseball is thinking about a 100-game season, but there's a potential because breaking news right here. My race season is canceled until August, which means that the states that I was going to run in, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts, they aren't allowing these kind of sporting events.
Yeah.
Still. So that was just a small example. You can imagine that being in many states. For Oklahoma to be willing to say, you know what? Even if it's a limited crowd, it's still revenue for our area, and it's still an attraction, and it'll make people feel good, which brings it back to that carny origin that it had in the history of pro wrestling when the local pro wrestling show was in town. And it's like, hey, let's go see these guys. And you saw Andre the Giant. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a real small crowd. And even dating back to Gotch, I mean, for God's sakes, it came out of the circus world. So this kind of brings it back, as strange as that sounds, to that era.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is the states are trying to open up and do some kind and like quarter capacity or whatever. You know what? While the WWE may be stuck in Florida, it honestly allows your local independent wrestling company to maybe run a show in some kind of capacity.
Now I got a question for you, bro.
Okay.
We both are from New York.
Yes.
And we know that the Athletic Commission in New York can sometimes be extremely unforgiving.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And that independent wrestling has all been strangled out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
By some of the new ruling that came when we got MMA up here. Do you think that New York will end up being one of the last states, based on the stuff that we've seen with the way that the administration is handling New York? Do you think we'll see independent wrestling be able to come back and even make money, or do you think that this will put a stranglehold where only maybe 2 or 3 companies in the state actually survive this?
I truthfully believe that only 2 or 3 companies in the state are going to be able to survive this. And those being ESW. Because Empire State Wrestling, which is based out of Tonawanda, New York, they have a big enough following and they have a big enough talent roster to, if they run a show, they'll make money.
Right.
They'll get the crowd. Like, their crowd will come back. But if you look at, I don't know how the crowds for Nickel City have been. From what I've been told, they've been doing good crowds. But I think that with the way the athletic commission is and the state of New York being basically the state of New York having the most COVID cases in the country, granted, a good chunk of that is because of New York City.
Yep, traveling upwards.
And everything. I think the latest map that I saw, I think New York State had into the 100,000s, but on the map they had like New York City circled and was like New York City actually accounts for like 1/3 of the number or whatever. So it's like, I think New York State was like 3 in the 300,000s, but if you take the 260-ish away from New York City, we're only in 100,000s, but we still have the most.
Yeah.
I think with the athletic commission and this whole situation, they're going to be more strict, and yeah, your companies are you're only gonna see 2 or 3 companies survive this, and I think it's going to be the companies that have the ability to draw the crowd. They have a solid talent roster built on their shows, and that's it. Where, like I said, ESW has that talent roster because they have the talents like Butcher and the Blade. They have the talent. They've had talents come down from Canada. They've had your worldwide, your nationally known talents coming on their shows. And then, like I said, I don't know many companies out your way, but it's like ESW and NCW are the 2 that are here.
For us, obviously in the capital region, there's several promotions in New York. You got Immortal, which always draws a great crowd, and they were planning some really cool stuff. NYCW is, kind of near Utica area, but I mean, still a lot of the guys from out our way go there. And of course, World of Hurt all come to mind. As being the active pro wrestling companies, the ones that have the biggest followings. I think fans will show up, definitely, especially, after this wait. A lot of the guys and girls have been active on social media, keeping fans like up to date with new photos or whatever, just, quarantine life hashtag.
Yeah.
Quarantine life hashtag and life of a pro wrestler. If you're not, by the way, if you're not following Matty Vibes, MattyVibes on Instagram, you're losing out because he's comedy gold. But anyway, you're having people still engaging. I think the thing that's going to be the killer is this going to cause the athletic commission to rewrite rules of how many people can be in certain events, temporarily or even permanently, in order to minimize the amount of people that are able to be there? Or this could be an opportunity for wrestling companies to get inventive with live streaming.
Yeah, I truly believe that. Like, I know ESW has had deals where they've streamed they have their shows able to stream on certain platforms.
Right.
I don't know about Nickel City. I don't know about UPW. It's just one of them things of streaming, doing a live stream or doing like a IPB pay-per-view event or whatever is going to be interesting, because with New York State and the athletic commission, I think, New York State's going to open back up in phases and everything. But it's one of them deals of the athletic commission's probably going to look at this and go, okay, we're opening back up. We're allowing the entertainment to run in it again. But whatever building you're in, if the capacity says 200, that's as high as you're going.
Yeah.
Like and I guarantee you that it's going to run it. That's where the live streaming comes into play, because if you remember back in the olden days, there was a thing called closed circuit television, people. What
did that eventually become, sir?
That eventually became pay-per-view.
And what did that become, sir?
Streaming.
It's evolution, bitches.
It's one of them things of this whole pandemic has pretty much reset the world. This whole pandemic is a giant reset button, is a giant reboot button. And it's trying to allow people to change things up and do things differently.
That is the most beautiful way of approaching this situation that I've heard anyone say yet. Legit. That is the perfect thing. I haven't heard anyone look at it that I know personally that looks at it like that.
What was funny is because everybody's been doing, because the new fandangly thing on social media is TikTok. Okay. Uh-huh. All these little 15 to 60 second videos of random nonsense. About 75% of it's thirst traps, but whatever. But it's also funny nonsense and everything. And there's one on there where a lot of police officers have had like their taser in their hand and they're doing the voiceover for the thing where it's called a reboot button. And I saw one this morning and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I was like, 2020 has been shit. We've had the threat of World War III. Australia was on fire. Kobe Bryant had died. I was like, the world's just rebooting itself. Like somebody, and then what was funny is I watched the internet episode of South Park where they lost the internet.
Yeah.
And Stan and his family went to California to try to find internet and everything. And then all of a sudden Kyle goes to the big government, sisculation and just basically unplugs the modem, waits 5 seconds and plugs it back in. And I'm just like, that's all this is right now. Is somebody has unplugged the modem, somebody has hit a reboot button, and it's trying to change how everybody was doing shit. Like when things finally start opening up, it's not as bad as the stock market crash of 1929 where bread was like 5 cents, but no one had 5 cents. Like we're going to have money. The government's going to obviously bail everyone out and just add more to the national debt, but it is what it is. But it's a thing of, I've had two thoughts of thinking with this whole situation. Either one, it's a giant reboot for everybody to change how they do things, or two, everything's going to just go back to the way it was at the beginning of the year, and then life's going to go, all right, you didn't learn the first time, we're coming back with a vengeance, and it's going to be worse this time. Because there's been a lot of talks about the whole high points of the COVID thing, or whatever, or the peak, and whatnot, and certain states have hit their peak and whatnot. But it's a thing of what happens when everybody does open up, everybody goes back to doing everything the same, and then it hits again, but worse. But this time, we don't have pro wrestling. We don't have the streaming things that people have been doing. And you're stuck even more than you already were. And I know it's like we're not talking about pro wrestling, but it's still this whole thing has affected everything. It's affected life. It's affected pro wrestlers, like in the independent way, in the national way. It's affected sports in general. It's affected life. But it's like just one of the things of, if you really sit down and look at it, small, insignificant shit doesn't matter anymore. You got to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture being this whole situation is one of two things. It's a giant reboot button for everybody to start doing things differently, or it's a, hey, we're going to go back to doing what we're doing, and then the world's just going to end up worse. This has been Pat G's TED Talk and his soapbox. Thank you for attending.
I don't even know how we can continue the episode. That was the greatest way to end it. That literally was amazeballs, dude. Like, that's a fantastic way of looking at it. I mean, I've often thought, and I mean, this is not pro wrestling related.
No, not at all. And this was one of the things is, as you said at the beginning of the show, WWE's only given us a little bit. There's not much to talk about.
Yeah, but I will say this. I'm going to add to your little TED Talk by saying Sergeant Fury has believed that we live in a simulation for a long time. I think that this is proof of it. Thank you.
It's one of the things of, I've listened to podcasts. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts lately because what else are we going to do with our lives? And some of the podcasts, like they're your sports or music or entertainment or whatever, but throughout them, they end up talking about what's going on in the world too, because it's what's going on. So it's like, yeah, you get off your source material subject, which is fine, but at the end of the day, it's like some people that are gonna turn into this and listen to that are gonna listen to my lovely little TED Talk there and go, and start to think about it. Or they'll hear your bit about it, all of us living in a simulation.
I mean, it's not a far-fetched thought. I mean,
it's not at all.
Musk says that there's more of a probability of it than not being a probability of it. And when you hear one of the smartest men on the planet say that out loud, you're just like, huh?
And then on top of it, today being May 1st, all the meme coming out of you have survived the month of April. Welcome to stage 5 of Jumanji.
If you see that again, can you please post that to my wall?
Yes. If I see it, I will send it to you. But yeah, but yeah, I've seen it twice on social media on various social media places where it's like, you have survived the month of April. Welcome to stage 5 of Jumanji. I'm just like, I'm like, damn, that's perfect.
That is our life right now. I'm waiting for the monkeys to steal motorcycles.
Waiting for the monkeys to steal motorcycles. Listen, if there's any animals around motorcycles, I want to be on one around a pack of raptors. End of story.
Yeah, Chris Pratt is pretty boss level. I mean, he's offering someone to get eaten in the next Jurassic World movie. Like,
yeah,
a fan can win the opportunity to get
the all in challenges. Like, honestly, some of them all in challenges, I'm like, yo, if I had the money to bid on them.
Yeah.
Like, if I had the money to bid on them, because I saw the one that Chris Pratt did, and I'm just like, man, I'm like, if I had the money, I'm like, yo, yeah. I'll get eaten by a raptor.
Let's pull some stimulus checks together, and we can get eaten by a velociraptor. Who's with me? Yeah.
There's some of them All In challenges, man. They're actually pretty decent.
Yeah, and dude, anything Chris Pratt does is amazing.
Factual. There's also there's the I don't know if you saw it. I posted it to your wall. I saw how like you say you were living in a simulation and everything.
Yep.
I saw it and I posted to your wall. What if, because of all this going on, this is a result of Steve Rogers not putting the time stone back?
Oh my God, don't blame... I'm not going to get into this with you.
I saw that somebody posted that, and I was like, and then you posted the saddest that you did, and I put it there, and I'm like, and you didn't respond to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get him on the podcast, because I want to know his thoughts.
This is messed up to call Steve Rogers, Captain America, one of the greatest fictional characters of all time, out for wanting to clap cheeks in the past. You have no right, sir, at all.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Into question.
I did not. I haven't called it into question. I just saw the theory on social media and shared it to you because I knew you would have opinions on it.
Steve Rogers is not to blame for this. If anything, I'm just throwing this out there, okay? Galactus.
Oh, wow. You know what? I wouldn't be mad. You know what? I'm not mad at it.
I like how that's I'm not mad at it.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Because I'm not mad at it. Because I've been wanting, because this, and you know what? I know we're a pro wrestling podcast, but we're kind of off the rails. So excuse us. We have no wrestling to actually talk about. But you know what? Imagine, since it's like we're on a simulation, apparently. Imagine if actual Marvel characters were pro wrestlers.
Oh, Steve Rogers would be John Cena.
It's like at this point, I'm literally just gonna read. I just like, okay, well, Steve Rogers, John Cena, of course, done. It's like going down the list of comic book characters and like aligning them with who would they be in pro wrestling.
You know what? That's next week's show. Let's do it.
Just going through Marvel and DC and going, who are these characters pro wrestling's like equivalent. Let's do it.
That's next week's show.
You know what? That actually works, because that easily could be a collabo between for Films of Fury as well.
Yep, we're doing it. Book it next week.
I love how we come up with these ideas randomly.
That's why we're the best wrestling podcast of all time.
I'd like to believe that. We are good though, so. But did you see Heath Slater?
Oh yeah, talking about how it would be bad business if AEW didn't sign him.
Yep. He's like Cody was interviewed and said nope, no on Heath Slater. Heath Slater's like, damn, nope, no on Heath. I know you're a new businessman, but that was a bad business decision.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny that I watched the Drew McIntyre Chronicles thing the other day.
Yeah.
And they had mentioned about a 3MB reunion.
Oh, yeah.
And then 1/3 of 3MB, the 1/3 that hadn't gotten released yet, got released, which means that if you follow the trend, Heath Slater, future WWE heavyweight champion.
Oh, yeah. Dude, this is the thing is, let's see, Drew McIntyre got, let's see, hold on. I'm gonna look this up because I'm curious. I'm curious here because Drew McIntyre got released. I think when did he get released? Let's see. He debuted in WWE in 2007, 2008. Chosen One was the 2012-ish. Yeah. Okay, 2014, he was MB3MB. Okay, so he got released in 2014, was gone for 3 years, about. Came back, about 3 years. So
won the NXT title.
Won the NXT title because he had that cup of coffee in Impact Wrestling.
Yep.
Yeah, came back 2017. Jinder Mahal, I think, was gone for 3 years too.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is in 2023, Heath Slater is returning to become world champion.
Just saying, if you follow the trend.
Yeah.
Maybe sooner, but if you follow the trend, that's what he's going to get super jacked or super shredded. What's going to happen is he's going to start doing DDP yoga, and he's going to really start working on the shred, and he's going to come back and look jacked, and he's going to beat Seth Rollins for the title. You're welcome, WWE. You're welcome.
3 years from now, we're doing an episode, WrestleMania recap. Heath Slater has defeated Seth Rollins. Dan's like, "Where is my damn belt?"
I'll just be staring into the middle distance. These sons of bitches are taking my ideas, and I have still yet to get a Fiend belt.
Completely. Where's my Fiend Championship title?
Just flip a desk, be like, "This is bullshit." Pardon my French.
So, finishing up is there was I gotta find it. Amanda Nunes said, Amanda Nunes. She said after her MMA career is done, she wouldn't mind. She would be open to a WWE run.
You know, to be honest, I think she'd do great. The thing is that with what happened with Cain Velasquez and Ronda's recent runs, I would hope that a stigma of these former UFC fighters coming to do a quick stint in WWE doesn't become a trend that loses its luster, because Nunes, she collects heads.
Yeah, she it was during a recent interview with Sports Illustrated. She admitted that she could be interested in a future WWE run when the times inevitably arrives to hang up the gloves for good. She says, "Not right now, but maybe later when I retire." Nunes said, "I'm open to it. Why not? I could try something new."
Yeah. And
this because she had recently posted a video of her 2015 victory over Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you have to take into consideration is she is legitimately the best female mixed martial artist that we have seen.
Oh, absolutely.
I called her the headhunter. She collects them. She has beaten everybody. She's got double belts. Sound familiar? Like, she goes up and down in weight classes to take on challenges, and she rocks them all.
She does. Like as much of a momentous run that Ronda Rousey had during her time, it doesn't compare to what Nunes has done.
No. And
like I look at it as, yes, Ronda Rousey was great during her 3 years and everything, and not gonna knock what Ronda Rousey has done for women's combat sports. She put them on the map. She put it on the map. She brought the attention to it. But what Amanda Nunes has done is taken what Ronda Rousey has done and gone even further and made it that more badass, because, like you said, she changes weight classes.
Yeah,
just to fight.
Weight classes to collect them. Yeah, she wants to prove that she's the best, and she does consistently. So to acquire her at the end of her run with UFC, a really cool future match, because she could come back and go against Shayna. She could come back and go against anyone. And there are talents that haven't been signed yet that we could see her face. Because, I mean, she's not done by a long shot. But when she is, dude, sign her. Snatch her up.
And this is the thing is there's the going back to earlier and talking about Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville has that background as far as like MMA. She has that background. That's why I'm excited to have her on her own, because what happens from a year from now, Sonya Deville has been built up, and maybe Baszler has jumped over to SmackDown, and you have a SmackDown Women's Championship match between Baszler and Deville. And now you're not only looking at a wrestling match, you're also looking at a legitimate fight.
Which would be amazeballs.
Because it's the thing of, they signed Cain Velasquez, but it's not like he was Cain Velasquez. He was a name. They brought him in. They brought him in because he's friends with Rey Mysterio. He worked the Saudi Blood Money show because you needed an attraction. And this is the thing is, and this is something that we'll have to get into later, another show, is all the lawsuits that WWE is facing because of that, because of those shows.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a lot of lawsuits laid out in WWE over the last 2 weeks, that involve the Saudi shows, because apparently they haven't been paid for them.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a report saying that the WWE has not received the money for the Saudi Arabia shows. And then on top of that, there's Dutch Mantel, of all people. She came out and talked about how there's a possibility that Vince McMahon is going to sell the WWE to Fox or ESPN.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like, and like I said, I was like, I was like, will Vince McMahon ever sell the WWE? I don't think so, because it's already been proven he doesn't do well with business outside of wrestling.
No, I don't think that he's going to sell it. I think it's just an unfounded rumor.
I think it's, especially when I saw it, and I was like, it was Dutch Mantel saying it, and I was like, I'm like, you were there for a cup of coffee, dude.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think he's gonna sell.
Yeah, not especially with the family bloodline that they have right now, where you have Triple H and Stephanie with 3 daughters, you have Shane and his wife with the 3 sons. Like, that McMahon bloodline is strong.
Yeah, and the future of the company is secure with those individuals in charge.
Oh yeah, the future of the company is very solidified, because when the Triple H interview that I read, he talked about how it's Stephanie. Stephanie's the one doing everything.
Yeah.
Like, Triple H is in he's got his role as in NXT and everything, but as far as the company day-to-day aspects, it's Stephanie. I'm like, because people forget, she's got a degree from Columbia of all schools in business. She knows what she's doing. It's just one of the things of, when I saw it, I was kind of like, listen, this isn't like Shane buying the company from his dad under his feet or anything.
No.
It's WWE's a publicly traded company. They have plenty of people in line to succeed Vince. when he decides to finally hang it up.
Yeah, this has already been planned. They've just, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, and it's like with the lawsuits and everything that have come out, it's one of the things of, it's WWE. WWE is always going to be there. It's as they say that there's the things of like the line of like the only things you can count on is death, taxes, and so on and forth. You can add WWE to that.
Yeah.
Like they've survived plenty. But that's going to do it for us. Next week, a fun-filled show as we go through the rosters of the MCU and DC and decide who are their wrestling counterparts.
This is going to be awesome.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be a show where I might have to get some people join in.
Let's do it. Group discussion. You be moderator.
Yeah, group discussion. I'll moderate it. We'll be good. I will contact some people and see who I can get to join in.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. For Dan, this has been Pat G. We have been Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, TTRP, brought to you by Gear Network and GearNetwork.com. Check out GearNetwork.com for all the latest content from us and the other shows, because it's a lot of stuff and a lot of fun stuff. So we will see you on the flip side. The Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast is brought to you by Gear Network and ShopGear.com. We can be listened to via Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you can get your podcasts. The TTRP introduction was done by Trevor Dugan. The show is hosted by Patrick Gancheski and Daniel Roberts. Post-production of the TTRP is done by Patrick Gancheski and John Cimino. If you'd like to follow us via social media, you can search Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us at Twitter by using the name Turnbuckle_talk. Or if you have questions or concerns, you can reach us via email at turnbuckletlkradio@gmail.com. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, downloading our episodes, following us on social media, and interacting with us.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.